Hello my friends, Paul here in the RoJoBe Music Workshop, and welcome to part 2 of the acoustic guitar bridge repair series. Okay, so in the first video you saw obviously that I dismantled the guitar, removed the bridge, and had a look at the bridge to see what we were up against and what I needed to do to repair it. I also said that at that stage I was still considering, is it just a bridge repair or am I going to do a left-hand conversion? Well, I've decided against the left-hand conversion, leave that for another day. So I decided to go with the bridge repair. So I put the two pieces together to see how well they matched up, and it looked almost perfect, apart from a couple of tiny little areas where there was chip out, but for the most part it did seem to go together really well. And I had to figure out which clamps I was going to use, how to clamp it together, and in the end, after trying 2 or 3 different ways, I ended up using these clamps. I used actually 6 of these and glued it all together, and this is what we have. Let me just put the light on. Doesn't make a lot of difference. Okay, so this is what we ended up with. So you can still see the join. So I made sure I got enough glue for 100% coverage like I normally do, but used as little glue as possible to minimize squeeze out. And you can see, there are a few little bubbles of glue squeeze out in certain areas, but not too much, so there's not a great deal of cleanup. And yeah, it's not going to focus. It does look as though there might be a few areas where we're going to see the gap, but as I said, I've got quite an easy fix for that later on. So what I need to do right now is to remove the excess glue, certainly from the top side. I don't need to worry about this side for now, just to see how good the join looks. So let me just angle the camera down to where you can see what I'm doing. Again, trying not to switch the camera off like I usually do. That's never good. Okay. How's that? Looks good. Right, so with a single-edged razor blade, I'm just going to scrape off the excess glue. Just bring the light across a bit and see what the join looks like. I might just zoom in a little bit. Too much. Touch more. Okay. Yeah, unfortunately with this camera, when I've got the camera tilted down, I can't turn the viewfinder towards me because the picture turns upside down. So I have to keep it, level with it, and then bend my head down to have a look. Right, so I'm going to just scrape off the excess glue. I mean, overall the join looks very good, but as I said, I think we might end up seeing a few little gaps here and there, which I'll have to tidy up later on. See if I can't just slice that little bit off without carving any wood away. Turn that around. So yeah, I mean, it has gone together very, very well. It's a perfectly strong enough joint, and obviously once I glue it down onto the guitar, it's gonna strengthen it even further, and it will hold. It will be no problem at all. It will be at least as strong as it was before, so that's not going to be the issue. As I said, the main issue is making sure that I disguise the joint. I don't want it to look like it's had a repair. I want it to look like a brand spanking new bridge. Okay, so I've done this end. Now, I'm not sure how well you can see that. The join is here. It's looking pretty good actually compared to this, but I don't think that's where I'm going to have the issues. I think these end pieces will be fine. It will be through the middle where You know, if we're going to see any gaps, that's where I think we're most likely to see them, between the sort of small pieces of wood between the bridge pin holes, string holes if you prefer. And yeah, I can already see a little bit of a gap on this part that I'm doing here. See it a little bit. It's not too bad. And like I said, it's an easy enough fix to disguise that. Basically, you know, you sand it so that I get some of the dust from it, but also to, you know, to level everything, and then mix that sawdust with a little bit of glue to basically make a filler. And I've done it before. It seems to work really well, so I don't have any qualms about doing this one. I think it will be fine. Yep, coming together. And also, because I ended up using these clamps, you know, they're quite sort of sharp metal edges, and it has made a few marks on the edges of the bridge, which I'll also have to tidy up. Just you know, minor nicks that will sand out quite nicely. But yeah, I mean, overall, this is looking pretty good. Quite a lot of glue squeeze out this end, which probably says that this was the better part of the joint, because the more glue that squeezes out, the better you've got the two pieces squeezed together, basically. But like I said, I wanted to minimise the glue squeeze out as much as possible. Didn't want too much mess to clean up, and also the wood for these bridges is very soft, really, and it's quite easy to scrape away too much wood when you're trying to scrape away a ton of excess glue. Okay, I think actually that does look really good. I mean, you can see the join right now, we all know it's there. But I think even with a little bit of light sanding, which I'll do right now, it may well completely disappear, or, you know, practically disappear. So I'm going to use a little bit of 400 grit sandpaper and just give it a light sanding over the top of that joint and see how it looks. Should be pretty good, really. I might as well just sand the whole thing while I'm at it. You can just barely feel the joint as well, so I want to, you know, get rid of that. I want to make it all nice and level. Yeah, can still feel it in a few places. It's not too bad. Basically, what I'm feeling is the glue, not the joint itself, because that lined up really nicely. I have to say, this is looking pretty good. Okay, let's a little bit more this end. Wow. Well, I have to say that's pretty good. This end is definitely the best. You can't see it. If you didn't know it was there, you would never see it. This end, I don't know if you can see that, but you can just about make out the joint along that edge, and possibly in a couple of places between these holes. But I honestly think with a little bit more sanding, that's going to disappear. I may not even need to do any filling, which would be awesome. Obviously, you know, it's more work, more time, and sometimes you have to, you know, it doesn't quite go right the first time. You'll have to do it 2 or 3 times. So, you know, obviously every time you do it, you've got to wait for the glue to dry, sand it again, check it again, and it can be quite time consuming. I mean, it's quite satisfying to do this you know, filling, but you know, it can be quite time consuming. But I've got a sneaking feeling I may not need to do it. It's looking pretty good. Yeah, I mean, you really got to look for it now. Let's see. So this end, you can probably maybe just about see a little bit along here. But like I said, if you didn't know it was there, you would never ever see it. What do we do for time? So, just going to give it a bit more of a sanding, and I think that will be good to go, to be honest. I don't think I'm going to need to do any filling. I'd rather not. Okay, let's find a bit of tissue would be good, just to wipe off the dust. Well, for my money, that's disappeared. I don't know if your eyes are any better than mine, and obviously the camera may not do it justice, but by my eye, which is by no means perfect, but that looks good. I'm pretty happy with that. No filling required, which is awesome. So I'm just going to lightly sand the edges as well, where the clamps made a few marks. Hopefully that should just all sand out nicely. And then really the next stage is to place this back on the guitar, line it up, and mark around the bridge on the guitar finish to remove a bit more of the finish, because that hadn't been done properly at factory, and reseat the bridge really. Yeah, a couple of little nicks sort of towards the bottom edge, which are probably not going to notice, but I know they're there, so they've got to go. Yep, I think that's good enough. Maybe one more bit just there, on that shoulder. Yeah, that's looking good, so I'll do, well, that's mostly done as well, just a couple more bits there. Yeah, that's fine. Okay, so I'll just show you that once again. I don't know if any of you can see where that join was, but I can't. I mean, I know where it was, but I can't physically see any of it. Maybe in 1 or 2 places if you look really closely, but you know what, once I get this oiled again, you'll never see that at all. Never see it. So, while I'm here, I might as well clean up the glue side as well. So, you know, once again, you can see the glue area, it wasn't good. It really wasn't done very well, and that's quite, more often than not, that is the case with factory-built guitars. And even, you know, even some of the higher-end brands can be like this, because they sort of, you know, they try and punt out as many of them as possible from the factory. They don't take this kind of care and attention. not sure if that's like nails down a blackboard for you lot. Yeah, it does look as though they've used like a hide glue or something along those lines, possibly even super glue, you never know. Certainly not what I would consider to be a proper wood glue on this. You can tell by, you know, just by how hard it is. Might be some kind of epoxy or something like that, but it's not really doesn't look as though it's a standard wood glue to me. I mean, the old traditional way of you know, gluing instruments together was hide glue, and maybe it's still used in some factories, I don't know. It works really well if the preparation is done properly, and that, you know, that's the same with everything. I mean, even this good strong wood glue that I use, if I don't prepare the surfaces properly, it's not going to bond, it's just going to come away again. So, you know, as you know, I always take the time to make sure the preparation is done properly before doing any glue joints, so that you can be certain it's going to stay. There's no point doing it otherwise. Yeah, that is going to clean up pretty well, but I'm going to do the rest of that off camera. You don't really want to sit and watch me scraping and sanding for however long it takes. So I'm going to finish that off camera, and then, as I said, the next stage will be to place the bridge back on the guitar top, line it up, mark around it on the guitar finish, and remove that finish properly, you know, to prepare the gluing surface, and then obviously glue it back on. So I'm keeping this one fairly short. You know, the main focus of this video was to see how well the thing had glued together, and I'm pretty happy with that. Try and get good light. If you look really, really closely, you can still see the join in places, but like I said, once the oil goes on, that's going to disguise it even more, and nobody will ever know. And that is at least as strong as it ever was before. It's not like I'm trying to, you know, cover anything up, although I am. You know, that will be at least as strong as it ever was before, and once it's glued onto the guitar properly this time, it will be stronger than it was before, because it will be a much better glue joint. So that will be the next stage. In the meantime, please look after yourselves, look after each other. We will see you soon. Peace.